Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, a retrospective look at who were the winners and losers in the Maryland election. President Obama takes unilateral action on immigration. Was it what he did or how he did it? That's the question. Stay tuned. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by the past president of the Montgomery County branch of the NAACP, Henry Hailstock. Breitbart contributor and Republican activist Eric Cary. Republican National Committee woman Nicolee Ambrose, and political consultant Susan Heltemes. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. As the dust has settled in the aftermath of the November election, both Democrats and Republicans are taking stock of the results and looking to the future. There are questions about what went wrong for Democrats, including the suggestion that Martin O'Malley's presidential bid has been derailed, Anthony Brown's political career is over, and that 78-year-old Barbara Mikulski should not run for re-election in 2016. At the state level, the turnover in the Maryland General Assembly and in the Senate and the House of Delegates may be a problem for leaders Mike Miller and Michael Bush, as moderate Democrats were replaced by some more liberal ones. For Republicans, they are digesting the implications from the fact that they have won the governorship for the second time in only 12 years. There are increased representation in the General Assembly, but they still can't win other statewide elections, and were once again shut out here in Montgomery County. Nicolee, Republicans won big on the fiscal issue, but are they still out of touch with voters on social issues where Marylanders are more liberal?
Absolutely not. I think the voters soundly rejected Anthony Brown's campaign, and he campaigned on social issues. He tried desperately to make that a key issue of the campaign, and it didn't work. Conversely, Larry Hogan focused on fiscal issues and focused on things that I think certainly translate to social issues, such as being able to feed your family, being able to, just take care of your family's bills. But voters resoundingly, by 5 percentage points, accepted Larry Hogan both for his fiscal issues and his stance on social issues.
All right, Susan, let's take a look at the General Assembly, where Republicans picked up 9 legislative seats in the county executive races, where 4 positions went to Republicans, as well as the governor's mansion. Is there a suggestion, and as Nicolee's trying to imply, that Maryland is not as liberal as the Democratic leadership?
No, I think I totally disagree with what Nicolee said. Marylanders are liberal on social issues far more than what the Republicans are, and polls consistently show that. I think that there were a lot of things. It was, the confluence of the stars. There were national issues. There was the lieutenant governor they don't win. It could have been a bad campaign. There were a lot of things that came about. But on the other hand, Frederick County has a Democratic county executive. And I think in terms of the Senate, there was a total net of 7 in the House. In the Senate, it is far more liberal, and there could be problems for Mike Miller. But, it's not over till the fat lady sings.
So
We've been in this.
You don't think there's a trend? I mean, the fact is that before Bob Ehrlich was elected, it was a 40-year span before a Republican had been elected.
I don't.
And now you've had 2 Republican governorships in the last 12 years.
Yes, Bob Ehrlich can no longer say he's the only Republican governor.
So there's no trend?
I don't think so.
Okay, Henry. Blair Lee suggests that election results indicate that African American voters may not be as committed to the Democratic Party as they thought.
First of all, there is a trend. Every year, people get complacent about the midterm elections, and more people are getting frustrated because there's not a clear choice for anyone. That's why a number of voters did not show, for one. Number 2, you look at the campaign. Sad to say that Democratic candidate did not pose a good position, no matter what he espoused in his campaign, to win. It may have been some campaign speeches that they say he may have won, but he did not. Number 2, he didn't get out in the community like he should have. People are not going to vote for you if they don't know you or trust you or understand you. And all three of those situations occurred.
But
now,
I want to pick up on something you said about the lack of motivation for people coming out. Don't you think the fact that the primaries are so one-sided that people feel like after the primary they don't have to come out?
No, if it was that way before, as far as people thinking, it is not that way now, because the way people are now seeing it, they should have gone out. They should have voted. They should have demanded some type of social issues that would be responsive for them and to them. All
right, Eric, let's go to you. Baltimore Sun suggests that Mr. Hogan needs to make Mike Bush his new best friend. You know what happened to Bob Ehrlich when he tried that?
Exactly.
What do you think?
If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to relive the mistakes of the past. And this is a classic example of just that. Larry ran a great campaign on the fact that he ran on the issues that matter the most, that touches everyone, fiscal issues. One way or another, everyone here has to do something with money and a budget of some sort. And that is where Larry really came off. And he also came off as someone that was easily likable compared to his opponent. And that's one of the other things, is what Henry was saying is...
All right, he won the election.
Right.
Now he has to govern. How's he going to do that?
And he's going to govern with one of the first things that I noticed he said already is that he's going to stick with doing tax cuts. He's going to try to get that to happen, and that's one of the first ways you start to stimulate the economy in the state of Maryland. Look at what's happened so far. We've had 40 new taxes, and right now the previous administration and what's going on in Annapolis, they kind of misjudged on what they expected to turn around and grow the economy. And because of this negative population growth, in a sense of the taxpayers leaving the state.
Eric, I hear this over and over again, but just tell me one thing. How are we going to be able to afford the things that he said he wants to do? Transportation, economic development, looking out for the small businesses and everything, if we don't put funds in there? And where are you going to get the funds?
Well, the other thing I might add is that Hogan is going to be the first governor without being able to steal money from the Transportation Trust Fund, due to the fact that the voters said you can no longer take that.
Exactly.
And that's going to be a big difference. And he's already, I've been told from friends who are Republicans, who are backpedaling a bit on the taxes. But I just want to say something, Casey, about something that you said earlier. This was the lowest turnout across the nation since 1942, when we were in the midst of World War II. It isn't just a Maryland thing.
Well,
but you outnumber us 2-1.
I think you guys are whistling past the graveyard.
Right.
Here. This is a trend. I think you're really missing the trend. Voters have voted in Republicans twice in the last 12 years, and they are fed up with high taxes.
Well, I wish Mr. Hogan luck in what he's saying, because I don't think he's going to cut those taxes.
So
he
the reason
going to have money
is the reason Democrats lost is because they miscalibrated. They thought they could pillage the electorate, and the electorate finally woke up, figured it out, and stopped them. So Larry Hogan's challenge is going to be cutting taxes fast enough to stimulate the economy and make economic development happen.
How is that going to happen?
How is that going to happen?
How's it going to happen? But you got to look at it.
Have so disenfranchised voters and businesses. We have to help rebuild the trust that people will want to locate their businesses here after they have been pillaged.
Well,
not Virginia.
9 out of 13 companies have left the state of Maryland. Fortune 500.
We're going to be talking about this for the next year. We don't have to have the last
More than a year.
word right now. When we come back from this short break, what is the reaction to President Obama going rogue on immigration question? Stay tuned. The decision by President Barack Obama to unilaterally issue an executive order to grant amnesty to 5 million illegal immigrants once again places the nation on a high political alert. Was the action by Mr. Obama just the latest step on the road to an imperial presidency, or the act of an executive frustrated trying to break through the logjam that has divided Congress? That one that is either too timid to make difficult political decisions or too fractured to make those decisions? Throughout the 6 years of President Obama's presidency, there can be said one universal observation about this president. He will follow his ideological agenda without compromise, even if he has to stretch the boundaries of his constitutional powers. In this instance, even his normally reliable media supporters like the Washington Post describes the president's action as nonsensical amnesty. Henry, after 6 years of congressional delay in action, was the president justified in doing this unilaterally?
Yes. Okay, I will elaborate. Basically, you're looking at people that are here in America that are undercover. They are working, they're doing the jobs that others don't want, and they're not paying taxes. What is the sense of having people here
Where was the
who are
urgency,
working?
Henry? Where was the urgency in causing him to act?
The
What was the
urgency-
difference? What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Yeah.
The urgency is that you have people are being deported unnecessarily. If you have people coming in, you have relatives coming in, you have children that are being affected or sent back. You have children here that parents are sent back. I've seen personally a family torn apart because of this. And why? Because they're here trying to earn a living. You need to understand a couple of things. One, this country
Henry,
was built by immigrants. This country was also built by
Built by
slaves.
by
We
legal
are all
immigrants,
immigrants
Henry.
No,
here.
illegal.
What?
Built by
It was
legal
Holland.
immigrants,
No.
Henry, not illegal immigrants.
Illegal.
This is
illegal.
we have a
The
200-year
Pilgrims-
history, Henry.
The
not talking
Pilgrims were
about the last
illegal
10
because
years.
who were here first?
All
Who
right.
was here first? We can argue that all day long. The biggest issue is that these people have been here. They've been here for years.
Henry,
And what are you going to do?
The question
Deport
is the
all of them?
urgency of his action as opposed to waiting for Congress to act. Susan, conservatives suggest that President Obama is engaged in a scorched earth rampage and cite the many occasions where Mr. Obama was quoted as saying he didn't have the authority to act unilaterally. Same question that I asked Henry. What has changed and why the urgency?
Well, first of all, there is no amnesty. I don't know where the heck people are coming up with that word. Secondly, he is doing exactly what the first President Bush did in that he is delaying action. What he is,
What
and let me
legislative
fi-
authority, Susan?
And where did
Don't-
George
don't-
the First
don't-
get
don't-
it from?
Don't jump and say a president is doing something if he doesn't
He
have the
does have
legislative.
the legal authority
Where?
because it's
Where?
called
Yes, he
deferred
does.
action. And this is all he's asking. He is asking people to sign a piece of paper and go along and get a background check. They have to pay a fee, and they have to have children as of yesterday who are born in the United States. He is keeping families together.
What is the urgency, Susan? Why shouldn't he have waited until Congress acted?
There is nothing. He said, I will tear this
The
up
Senate,
as soon as
the
they
Senate
do
passed
something.
an immigrant reform
How
act.
many bills?
House has
how many
delayed it
bills
for I
does-
don't know how
How
long.
many bills did
The
Harry
president
Reid
delayed
not
on
present?
purpose.
Or
He even
John
told the
Boehner.
Okay. We can play this tit for tat
480.
game all we want. Nicolee, isn't this just another illustration where Republican Party has mishandled this because they haven't presented their own legislation?
See, the reason that's an incorrect assumption is because the new Republican Congress has not even been sworn in yet. Barack Obama had a Democrat Senate and a Democrat House of Representatives in 2009 and 2010, and he did nothing with it. It didn't even come up. It was not a priority. He could have gotten whatever he wanted.
Why
if
didn't
he
John
cared
Boehner
to,
bring up a
And
bill?
he did not. 480 bills we have brought out
Why
in
didn't
the
he bring up
House,
a
and the
an
Senate has not
immigration
taken
bill?
them up. We have. And let me go further
Where?
than this. Excuse me, I actually worked for the Department of Labor. I worked for the agency that issues all of the visas, and for 3 decades, every Republican president has had on the regulatory agenda increases to the visas. There
So
are
what
a
happened?
long list of things we can
So
agree.
what happened?
We
All right.
cannot get
What happened?
Democrats.
Nicolee,
Oh,
I
it's
want
not
to go to
Democrat.
Eric on this.
We
It's
can't
not
get
a
Democrats
Democrat.
to pass it because they will not buy off enough
Democrats
votes.
passed a bill
Susan,
over
hold on a second.
550 days ago, and it's never come up at the House. So
We
it's
can
a
play-
two-way
Susan,
street.
it is a two-way street. Eric, despite all the chatter we hear, despite the chatter on talk radio, let's face it, there's nothing that the Republicans can do about this because they're not willing to shut down the government.
That was one of the first mistakes. You never say what you will and what you won't do. But more importantly, there's still other arrows in the quiver to pull. They could basically hold up any type of nominations that are going into any type of office. They could go through, and they can still legislatively still kind of lasso this thing back in. But they have to do it, and the most important thing is they have to handle the messaging so it basically, when it gets out to the rest of the people, it makes sense. So they're not basically being pushed into the corner to basically be, we're shutting down the government.
And what's interesting, I think, when President Obama gets attacked on all this stuff, he has deported more people than any other president.
when you look at the numbers,
he is doing what he's supposed to do. There is only money to deport 400,000 Americans a year.
But when they also now are adding up the same people that are turned right back around at the border and put into those numbers, which were never counted before, that's the reason why the numbers are falsely inflated and look the way that they look right now.
He still has deported more than George W. ever did.
But when they didn't count those actions before,
it doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does matter.
Susan, let me ask again. I think where everybody's losing the forest for the trees. The real question is, does the president have the constitutional authority
because
to
you
do
know
what he did?
When he said he didn't, he was talking about amnesty. He is not giving amnesty. For doing this, they get 3 years to stay with their family. At the end of 3 years, he said again, it's over. If it isn't renewed, but for 3 years, and they all have children who were born in the United States.
How long is it taking for Obamacare
thing.
to actually go in the full effect? You keep pushing the date back. You keep pushing the date back. And this is what they've done. They pushed it back to now, going back to 2016.
He is a compassionate person who's caring about people who have children born in the United States.
Why is it the question
Why
of
do we
compassion?
want to rip apart families?
I would suggest the most compassionate thing we could do is to come up with a real solution that people can agree on a wide number of issues and things that would help bring people out of the shadows, such as if you don't have an ID, for example, so we need to create a solution so people can legally have some sort of identification, but if you don't have that, you can't get a bank account, you can't get on an airplane.
But they will under
you can't
this.
check into a doctor's office. Only 4 million. I think we need to look at things like the red card solution, other things that legally register people to be inside the borders of this country. So they have a way
we can talk about all these solutions. We can talk about what is happening, what's not happening. The bottom line is that we've had a deficient Congress that will not do what is necessary, because you had a president come in and say, well, what do you want, and try to do something fair for all of the people.
How do you explain 09?
For all of the people.
President Johnson was confronted with a Congress that didn't want to pass the Civil Rights Act. What did he do?
He told us to go out and
he
make
showed
him.
leadership.
No, he also said go out. He told the leaders. He told the African American leaders. No, he went out and told the African American people to go out and make him.
Well, President Obama said to John Boehner.
The community.
Thank you, everybody. This is great. You can see the passion, because those who oppose what the president did believes he did it illegally, and those that are in favor support him all the way. Stay tuned for parting shots when we come back from this short break.
President.
And now, after that spirited debate, we're having parting shots. Eric Cary.
And as you could probably tell, that debate actually went into the break. But more importantly, what we fail to understand is we need to basically treat this immigration issue just like we treat a leaky sink or a bathtub. You don't start mopping the floor until you stop the flow from overflowing and hitting the floor. So when you hear these discussions about immigration, until we start talking about a way to actually successfully secure our border, we're basically mopping a floor that's still being muddy. But guess what? I'm still happy that Larry Hogan is our governor, and I'm doing the touchdown dance.
Thank you, Eric. Henry Hailstock, your parting shot.
I'm not going to talk political. I'm going to talk this is a season for being thankful, but we won't be thankful unless we help the veterans and help those that are in need. So please go out and help someone. Each one touch one, because we need that this season, both in November and in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Nicolee Ambrose, your parting shot.
At the beginning of the show, Casey talked about winners and losers from this election cycle. I would definitely suggest the people of Maryland are a big winner in that we finally have more of a two-party system in the state, and we definitely need a reprieve from these taxes and fees so people can buy gas, pay for food, support their families. But I look at Montgomery County, and I think the reason we had these good Republican victories throughout the state was great candidates. Here in Montgomery County, you had great candidates, and not one of them was given a chance on the Republican side. So I encourage people to get out there and meet your candidates. We've got 2016, 2018, and beyond, please meet these candidates and consider giving a two-party system a chance here in Montgomery County like people did elsewhere in this state.
Thank you, Nicolee. Susan Heltemes, your parting shot.
A la Stephen Colbert, I would like to give the wag of the finger first to Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leader, who would not allow Congressman Tammy Duckworth the opportunity to vote in absentia or by proxy for the leadership because she was at home going through a difficult pregnancy. She had a child this week. If you recall, she is the woman who lost both legs in the Iraqi war. Congressman Pelosi is wrong. It's really unfortunate. Until the next election or the swearing in of the next Congress, we have more women in Congress than ever before. And these things are going to happen in the future. And then I would like to give the second wag of the finger to the Republican leadership. The Senate leadership named their leaders, and the House leadership has been named, as well as naming their committee chairs. And all of these people thus far named, they are all white. And there is only one white woman, and she's the head of the administration committee, which is in charge of toilets and the cafeteria. Boy, we women have come a long way. That's what this election has done. As a Democratic woman, I don't have much to be grateful for at this point. However, I do wish everyone out there a very happy Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you, Susan. That was an interesting parting shot. You know, one of the things that fascinates me about President Obama has been his willingness to stake out a position and not waver from it. It's interesting in this era of divided government whether this is a tactic that is used to design to whip Congress into passing legislation, or whether he's truly following an ideological bent. I've really come to kind of admire what the president is trying to do in order to get two very intransigent parties, the Republicans and Democrats, to try to work together. Now, unfortunately, both parties have this ideological division. The Democrats, of course, have gone way far to the left, so far to the left that I left the Democratic Party in 1976. And the Republicans have gone too far to the right. There doesn't seem to be that coterie of good government legislators there that understood and really appreciated their institution, the institution of the Congress, and protects the institution of the Senate and the House and the important role that they have. So I think this debate, even though it's at a crisis point and people are yelling at each other like we have tonight, actually is healthy for our country because it may bring together some good government policies and governance finally to our Congress. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken. I want to thank the panel for being here tonight. I want to thank the viewers for tuning in each and every week to Montgomery County's hardest-hitting political talk show. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken.
You're invited to Montgomery County's premier social event, the 29th Annual Executives Ball Inauguration 2014, celebrating the arts and a county in bloom. Monday, December 1st at the North Bethesda Marriott. Spend an elegant evening with the political stars that make Montgomery County the greatest place to live. RSVP and purchase raffle tickets online for your chance to win a Prius. Attendance not required to win. All proceeds benefit arts and humanities organizations. We'll see you on December 1st.